my name's John Spencer. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Veridium. I want to show you some really cool and interesting technology today, specifically designed for Citrix Storefront and for Citrix NetScaler. Predominantly as an organization, what we deliver is a capability to biometrically authenticate yourselves into any Citrix environment. So what you're used to today, typically from a Citrix Storefront or NetScaler perspective, is this type of screen. A username, a password, and a token-based one-time password type technologies, with technologies such as Secure ID or VIP access. The biggest call to help desk today, 70 to 80% of help desk calls come on this guy. Lost passwords, expired passwords, forgotten password, lockout type situation. This is really problematic from the user's perspective. And then the second one is your second factor authentication. This is typically expensive. I was talking to an organization yesterday who quoted $170 a year per user to enable two-factor authentication into their Citrix environment. So this is problematic, and at Veridium, we firmly believe in eliminating passwords completely. We've had usernames and passwords for the past 30 years on various different types of operating systems, but there's no better way to authenticate into any environment than authenticating with who you are in terms of your biometrics, rather than trying to remember usernames and passwords. So from a user perspective, we want to simplify. Simplification is a big message that Kirill put out at the keynote at the beginning of this week. So I'm going to take Storefront and go from a 3-box login, and I'm going to move this down to a single username login. The only thing the user has to remember is the username to get into Storefront. So what's the one device that we carry with us all day, every day? That's your mobile phone. In this particular case, I've got an iPhone 7, I've got a touch sensor enabled with it. So what you're going to see here is when I put my username in, on the right side of the screen, you'll see a push notification come through. I open up the authentication app, I put my Touch ID in, and this now authenticates me into Citrix Storefront. Now, this is all well and good, it works beautifully, it's very seamless, it's very simple, and it means that my users don't have to remember any passwords, and I don't need to add in a second factor authentication in terms of adding a level of security in here. But there is a problem in that not everyone has a Touch ID capability. In fact, only 30% of smartphones on the market today have an ability to use Touch ID. So we thought long and hard about this at Veridium, and we've tried to figure out what the most common hardware was across all smartphones on the market today, and that's the rear-facing camera on the device. So at Veridium, we've got computer vision experts who've now created an algorithm that I can use the rear-facing camera to capture fingerprint data on not one finger, but 4 fingers, so added level of security for an authentication. So we'll do exactly the same thing again. We'll go to the same Storefront server, we'll put our username in, and now when the notification comes through, I won't be using Touch ID, but we'll be using my 4 fingers to capture fingerprint data from the rear-facing camera. So here, notification has come through, I hold my hand in front of the device, and now biometrically, 4 fingerprints have been validated by our identity server that sits alongside Storefront and NetScaler, and I managed to authenticate myself into the environment. So not only can I do this as a primary factor and eliminating passwords completely, we can also do this as a second factor authentication as well. So the same scenario, Citrix NetScaler, I'm sure you're familiar with this. I'll put my username in, I put my password in, the notification will come through as before. I capture my fingerprint information, and again, using NetScaler, and in this case, rather than Storefront, I've used my biometrics to validate, and I could have used Touch ID or facial recognition or other biometrics to authenticate myself. And then the final thing I wanted to show you was really how we simplify life even further. So you can imagine government organizations, education, university organizations. How about we configure Storefront just to use a QR code. In this particular instance, I'm going to be using an Android phone to prove that we have a capability across platform. We have the same authentication app on the Android phone. I open it up, I scan the QR code, I hold my fingers in front of the phone, they're authenticated, they're validated against our Veridium ID server, and this will authenticate me directly into Storefront without me putting a username in, without me putting a password in, and without me using any token-based technology. If you'd like any additional information, please visit veridiumid.com, and we'd love to give you much more information just by using our online query tool. I hope you found that useful and interesting, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.